Hey guys, it's IzDaisho. Another day, another Hearthstone video. Continuing my arena run, I am 5-1 currently with this Shaman deck that I like a fair bit. I mean, anytime you get to run at least 2 fire elementals in your deck, that's good. I'd prefer 3 or 4 or 12 or something like that. But you know, I can take 2. I can accept that. But you always see those decks that have like 3 or 4, and you're so jealous. Why can that never happen to me? Anyway, this hand is complete garbage. I don't want any of these cards. Earthshock is a reasonable card to keep early, but it's probably it's going to be much better later when I know exactly what I need to silence in order to win the game. Hex is something that I also don't really need right away since I want to save it for my opponent's powerful creatures and powerful threats anyway. It's a pretty interesting starting hand. I can really take it in 2 different directions. Number 1, I think I just made my decision, but number 1, I can coin into a loot hoarder here. That way next turn I can still totemic call and then follow it up with a flame tongue totem, and then that'll actually be a pretty reasonable and powerful play. But I think what I'd rather do is just pass the turn here. That way on turn 2 I can play this loot hoarder. On turn 3 I can coin into this Dark Iron Dwarf, trade with whatever he's doing, or coin into Gnomish Inventor if he does decide to shapeshift and take this guy out. Turns out to have worked out pretty well because he's going to be forced to... Ooh, never mind, I'm just going to do that. I was going to say that I was going to drop this loot hoarder and he would be forced to shapeshift next turn, so he wouldn't be able to do anything on his turn 3, and that would not really be in his favor. But oh, he's just going to shapeshift anyway. I guess that would have been really bad for me since he doesn't have a play anyway. But that does mean that he has got 5 cards in hand that aren't really good on this current board state. So I'm going to go with a loot hoarder here. I'm going to save the durability on this axe. I don't have another one yet. I might get one soon, but until then I think I want to save a couple of durability so I can make some good trades. I mean, this turn is not going to be outstanding for me since I'm going to have to take another 4, and I already am taking some damage, but I'm going to get some card advantage, and loot hoarder getting value is nice. Because generally, in this matchup, all he's going to do is take up 2 mana from my opponent. But here he was able to do a little bit more than that. So, I mean, I've got more cards than my opponent, and I've got a board presence of sorts, but he is up on life a fair bit, and that's a little bit scary at this point. So he's just going to... Actually, I might trade here. I think if I were him, I would have... Well, actually, it depends on his hand, but... Alright, so... Yeah, I think I'm actually just going to... It's a tough choice here, because I can auctioneer and just coin for no extra value, or I can just drop this guy and then coin into a 2-drop. I think I'm actually going to do that. Just to get a bigger board presence here. I don't want to drop the Murloc Tidehunter because that's really weak to a swipe, and then he still has 2 mana left over, so he gets basically a perfect turn. And this way, I have a couple of slightly resilient threats. I've got this Flame Tongue Totem to help out. There's a Hex. I think I can probably play this turn without using a Hex, so I think I will. I don't really want to take 4 more damage, though. Alright, so this is fine. And drop a Flame Tongue Totem, Abusive Sergeant, hit him for 6, and then drop a Totem. Still hit him for 4 here. So, I mean, I did it without having to hit myself for 4 and without having to play the Fire Elemental or the Hex. So basically what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to keep my best removal since I know I'm playing against a Druid. So there's a reasonable chance he's got a... one of those things, the big things, the 8/8s, because those are common, and there's an outside chance that he's got an Ancient of War, which will be the 5/10 taunt. So, I mean, there are a couple of reasons why I made the play that I did. Alright, Nightblade's a good draw since it's something not too threatening. Or not too... Like, this thing I don't want to play without having spells to back it up right away. I think here... Yeah, I think I still don't want to play into swipe, though making a totem could have also been a nice play. The thing is, next turn I'll have access to 7 mana, which is not so great. Maybe I should have done that. I think 8 is a lot better for me, because I could play Fire Elemental and a totem. Right, so he's just got a Swamp Ooze there, so that would have been a lot better for me. But that's okay. I can still get some value out of this fire elemental here. And he's got, it looks like he's got another play here, just to power the wild. That's fine. So yeah, even more value out of my, or just, oh my god. Okay, yeah, that's very good for me. I can't do anything else this turn, but I mean, now basically I'm just up 5 cards to my opponent's 1, or 5 cards to my opponent's 2, and I'm not even behind on life anymore. So it's going to be really hard for him to come back, and the fact that I have this Hex means that even if he does something like drop a giant creature there, I'm still going to be fine. And not only that, but I also just get to cycle this Hex too, which is just incredible. And it's fine. Don't get to attack him here, which is a little bit annoying, but attacking him for damage isn't really relevant. At this point, he's just going to... I mean, he's so far behind on cards and board that there's just no way that he could even come back from this. Alright, so do I want to Hex that or just run it? I think I'm just going to ram my Fire Elemental into it. Unless I draw another Hex. No. Never mind. I'm just going to Hex it, actually. Actually, I should have played Feral Spirit first to draw a card to see what I get, but looks like it would not have been relevant. Alright, I'm going to drop this too, and then there's a Kodo, but I can't play it. And sure, we'll make a Totem here. I honestly can't see any reasonable path of cards that my opponent can drop that would get him to win this game. Though, I think I probably should have kept the Hex. It really doesn't matter, though. There's so many good cards in my hand right now. And I'm just up so many cards that even if I have to run like 3 creatures into something, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be matter. Alright, so I think he's just dead here. 10, 12, yeah, 10, 12, 15, 17. It's fine. Okay. So, I mean, he was just so far behind that game. I think I managed to play the beginning of the game pretty well, so I was still able to have that Hex for his creature and, you know, roll with it that way. It was definitely a nice situation. Starting off this this little video pretty well, pretty dominant victory over a reasonable deck. Playing against Gash here. It's I guess an interesting deck to play against. I don't want any of these in my opening hand. Hopefully I get a pretty good one like last time. But yeah, sometimes if I am, because this deck does take a lot of damage early on with all of the Stormforged Axe, so he could just drop some Arcanite Reapers and stuff like that, and he also has the 4/3 haste for 4, 4/3 charge for 4, Karakron Elite, so that deck can definitely do a lot of burst damage. Alright, I think here I'm just going to Lightning Bolt that. Trade 1 for 1, and then next turn I can coin out an Imp Master. And that'll be pretty nice to start getting that online, especially with Flame Tongue Totem in hand. Another Mad Bomber. He's just not getting very lucky with these. Alright, grabbing the second Hex there is nice. It means that I can use them pretty liberally. I'm hoping that this Imp Master will at least trade 1 for 1 with the Mad Bomber. It might do a little bit better. It might not do so well, but we'll find out. I mean, it would be difficult for it to not trade 1 for 1. You'd have to have like a Cruel Taskmaster to take this guy out. Or Fiery War Axe is just a very good card. Alright, well he's just going to armor up. That's pretty good for me. Alright, so I am going to still get the 1 for 1 trade, which is nice. Stolen Forge Axe. Alright, well let's do that instead. Unless I don't really, well, I want to play Nightblade next turn. I think I'd rather get the Axe out this turn though. Even though I did express concern with taking some damage early, I think it's more relevant to be at 25 and kill his guy than, I mean, even losing a 1/1, because maybe that'll entice him to attack with the weapon into the 1/1. I'm starting to build a reasonable board. If he doesn't attack here, I can just drop a Flame Tongue Totem now. He is going to attack though. I can still drop a Flame Tongue Totem though. Trade and then, or hit with this first and then trade. Then still drop another totem. Alright. Well, first, oh my god, that's my third hex. I could reasonably have just hexed here, but I think that it's a little bit better to do it this way. And, I mean, it's nice to have all the hexes, but sometimes you do need real creatures and stuff. That's why I'm pretty happy to have this Fire Elemental and the Nightblade in hand. Yeah, I mean, even though Nightblade is definitely overcosted, it still is always nice to have so much damage coming through. Alright, well, I definitely don't want to drop the Fire Elemental straight into this. It's a lot better to do this, especially since his ability is just Nightblade's ability right here. Alright, well, that's going to be the first thing that I take care of with the hex. And that's fine. I mean, killing 6 drops with my 3 drops is pretty beneficial. I guess I didn't really need to hit that, but just, yeah, I probably shouldn't have, because especially since I got the 1/1. If I didn't get the 1/1, then I think it would be a pretty reasonable play, but alright, so he's got a couple of things. He's just going to start clearing my totems. Unfortunate that I can't, well, actually I probably could just drop the Sea Giant here, but I think I'd rather play Fire Elemental and a Totem. Or I could just do Totem and Sea Giant. No, I want to play the Fire Elemental here. Oh, actually, I should have definitely played the Axe so I could clear the 2/3 just in case he's got like a Cruel Taskmaster or something like that. Then he could trade it off, or even like a Shattered Sun Cleric, he'd still trade it off. There's a Gore Howl. That's not great, but at least he's taken some hits here. And let's see, is he gonna clear? Yeah, he's gonna kill one of my totems. Alrighty. It's a little annoying because I can't play the Sea Giant and Stormforged Axe here. That's okay though. We can hold off on the Axe for a turn, or on the Sea Giant for a turn. Just gonna do these two. Clear this. Alright, I mean, he's got 6 power on this, which is pretty good, but I mean, hopefully the Sea Giant will be able to contend with that. I mean, with the benefit of being able to hex his guys, unless he's got like an Execute, doesn't really look like he's going to be able to break through and take out my Sea Giant anytime soon. Alright. It's a little bit more of an issue, and it looks like I may have to hold off on the Sea Giant another turn. Yeah, I have 9 mana, so yeah, I can't do it. Oh, first, actually, I want to do this. And then go for a Hex on this guy. Man, that Sea Giant, I'm telling you, he'll come down eventually. Just a matter of time. My opponent still has about as many cards as me. I mean, he's got 3, probably 5 to my 4 or 5-ish. So we're pretty even right here, because I'm counting this Gore Howl as 2 cards, even though it only is durability 5. Or attack 5, I guess. Durability is still high. What you got, bro? Is it like a Ironforged Rifleman? That's like the only thing I can actually consider him just hitting my face with. Alright, armor up, and nothing. Alright. So, let's see, if I drop this, then I'll have 6 mana and I won't be able to play that. So it doesn't look like I can do anything else other than just drop this. Alright, so since I didn't get the 1/1, I'll be happy to clear the totem here and play around to Swamp Ooze a little bit. And now he's got to deal with this. It's not impossible for him to deal with, especially with still 4 durability, though he doesn't really want to just hit my guy. Let's See, I've got Slam. Alright, that's a start. He's got Execute, then that's a really good way to deal with it. But Execute is not such a high pick. No, come on, hit these two. Hit these two. Damn. Alright. At least they got the Healing Totem instead of that thing. Alrighty. So he still took 8 from my Sea Giant and had to do some work to get there too. Let's see what we can draw here. This Cobra is actually a bit of an issue. First I'll just draw here, see if I can draw like a Lightning Bolt or a Rock Biter. No. And also didn't get the Taunt Totem, though he could have just done that. So yeah, he's just going to be able to eat that guy, but I'll be able to counter eat, I guess. I don't know. It was a close game. I still have the gadgets in plus this Hex, so if he does play something big, then I don't really have to worry too much. Looks like he just drew that War Song, so that could be an issue here. Ooh, that's really good for him. That is definitely a tough spot for me. I'm still going to be able to abusive this guy and kill off anything I want, really. Not that. Fire Elemental. That's a nice draw. Alright, so... maybe I do want to hit this. I mean. It's a little bit risky, but he definitely... I mean, he's unlikely to have another... he's unlikely to have another X2 in hand. I should have totemed before, since I want to hit... I really want to hit the Taunt Totem, so it would have given me a 8% higher chance to hit the Taunt Totem, which is definitely the best one right here for me. And he's got a Slam. No, it doesn't do anything yet. Execute. Okay, that was a good top deck. And I'd be surprised, yeah, if he doesn't go that way, so he doesn't have to take any damage on his Warsong Commander. I'm going to keep holding on to this Hex just because I don't need to play it yet. And although it would be nice to... Well, Feral Spirit would be a nice draw. Yeah, nothing. Alright, well, I can still drop this guy. And I really just want to hold on to this Gadgetzin so I can get some value out of it. I'm still at 16. My opponent doesn't have any very threatening... Okay, well, see, that's why I'm holding on to this Hex, just in case something crazy like that will happen. And I think that actually makes me a pretty high favorite to win this game right now. Unless my opponent has another really good card in hand. Just a Fiery War Axe. I mean, it's a pretty interesting line. Just a Fiery War Axe. I can beat that, but honestly, that's the situation that we're in here. I want to kill this first. Ooh, Wind Fury. Interesting. So if I play Wind Fury, well, I can always just do it next turn. He can't really kill this guy, so I'm just going to make a totem here and pass. And now my opponent's got to have a really sweet draw. Also drawing that, or rolling the Taunt Totem was very key there. Alright, I think that's actually just the game. Whether it be because I'm going to win, just straight up win, or just get it extra advantage by drawing a card, then Wind Furying, then killing his creatures. Alright, let's do this. I think he's actually just dead on board. Is he? This is 12 damage, he's at 13. Alright, well, let's do this first. There we go. That is Gadgetzin Auctioneer doing his job. That was a really good game. I mean, it really came down to the wire, and I think I played it well. Having the 3 hexes there was obviously key, and just using them when I needed to, not just when I could, I think was really what allowed me to win that game. I think most people would have used all 3 hexes and then just been kind of pissed when they saw the 8/8 giant come down for 0 mana and not have an answer to it. But fortunately, I was able to keep and hold on to my hexes. I can't remember. I used one on Lord of the Arena at the beginning, Molten Giant at the end, and the middle one I don't even remember, but I think it was something big. I hope it was. Otherwise I sound like an idiot because I'm like, yeah, I saved my hexes for when I really needed them, except for when I played them for no reason. Alright, another terrible starting hand, but hopefully, again, we can just mull it into one that'll work for us. I think I've been on the draw the last few games, and this is something that I've seen a lot in the comment section or on streams and stuff. People saying, man, I hate being on the play. Being on the play is the worst. But I've had the opposite experience. When I'm on the play, if I can get a reasonable starting hand with a curve, I find that it's almost impossible to lose. The benefit of being on the draw, I think, is less being able to get board control and more early on, and more just being able to figure out a way to curve out better. So if you can already get the curve, because the coin can fix your curve. So if you have a 2 and then into a 3 or whatever, then you're fine. But if you have a 2 and a 4, then you can just make your curve a 2 into a 3, which is generally pretty beneficial and nice. Alright, so we're all just playing 0-2 Taunt Tribal. That's how it's going today, it looks like. Probably going to go for a Feral Spirit next turn. Can't really see much of a reason not to. Okay. That's a pretty good reason not to, I think. Well, not a great reason. Because if I do play the Shattered Sun here, eat his 0-1, then he can just eat my 1-3, and then I won't really have a good way to deal that 1 extra point of damage. So I actually think that this is going to end up being the play. Not sure if it's better, but what this does is it entices him to still trade that way, and not next turn, but maybe in a future turn I can make this thing, or any of my totems, excuse me, a 1-3, and then kill the 0-1. But we'll see. I think this play is a little bit better, though. Mainly because I want to, well, I mean, I kind of want to play Nightblade on 5. It's not like a necessity. In fact, like Shattered Sun plus a totem might actually just be better. But alright, so that's, I mean, this is how I figured this turn would go. Pretty happy to see a weak creature like Dalaran Mage. Though not that happy, because I'm not exactly sure what he could be. He could get like a Cone of Cold or something like that next turn. I don't know. This is pretty fairly obvious trade. And I'm not sure if I want to just like drop an Abusive Sergeant and like an Earth Shock or something like that, or if I just want a totem. I think I want to save my, well, Earth Shock? Let's see. Alright, so what could he possibly play next turn? He can drop an Arcane Explosion, kill this guy, weaken this, hit it, then I can still Lightning Bolt it next turn and not lose that much value. This guy could have still gotten hit and pung, and then that wouldn't have been much. Well, no, he wouldn't die then. But if he still has the Arcane Explosion, then it's not really a big deal. You could get like Cone of Colded, Fireball, Frostbolt. None of these things really matter to me, I don't think. So just because there aren't really any spells that I'm worried about at this juncture, I don't think I'm going to bother silencing this. Could end up being a mistake, but we'll see. Alrighty. So we got some options here, but I think I see the first play and the second play. Alright, so he's not going to do anything. Alright, so my let me just think about this, but what I think is going to happen is first I'm going to try and hit a spell damage totem. And then if that doesn't work, then it's like a 50-50 chance that I can just Earth Shock it to death. Then I have another play afterwards. But fortunately got the spell damage totem. And I think I can actually drop this here. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm just going to kill that for sure. I don't think I want to play Abusive here. And you know what? Sure. It's turn 5. I don't really have to worry about much. If he's just pinging, then that means that he's got to play a 3-drop, which he hasn't shown to have. He played Dalaran Mage on 3 without any immediate spell damage. When I play this guy, I want to drop like a spell damage spell the next turn. Because I didn't think about Arcane Missiles earlier, but I don't think that would have been such a big deal either. Alright, there is a Mana Worm, which shouldn't be a big deal, and there's the Arcane Explosion that I was thinking about. And he's going to be able to eat my guy now, but that's fine. I mean, I had already thought about this play, and he got an extra card out of it because I used the other thing, but that's fine. I can still have a pretty sweet turn here, going Nightblade into Lightning Bolt. Finish off the 2-3. Mana Worm is just a very, very powerful mage card, and if you just let it get going, sit on open board, very much like Unbound Elemental in this deck, it can just start going off, and that is just a terrible position to be put in. Alright, so I was on the play, so basically I'm about where I should be. I have a slightly better board, but he has one more card than me. Alright, so he's going to go for that. That's not a big deal for me. I'm still at a very high life total, which is nice. And I've got a couple options here, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clear that and that, and then go for a couple of two power or 2 mana plays. And next turn I'll be on 7 mana. Well, we'll see what we draw. I don't really have all the things in my hand are reactive, which is nice unless he plays like a Flame Strike here, which I don't think he will. I could see him doing. It's a reasonable play, but I'd be a little bit surprised if he did. Alright, looks like he's got a... No, not a Blizzard. Maybe a Cone of Cold? No, Stormwind Knight. Alrighty, that's fine. So hopefully he just trades here. I could see him hitting that way too, though. I think that this is a lot better, though, because... Well, no, he's okay if I trade there. I don't know, we'll see. But if... Yeah, alright, so if he makes this trade, then I can just abusive this guy and send him in. Then I can also pump my abusive so he won't die. Or I could play Kodo. No, I don't need to play Kodo here. This play is very powerful too, and I think it's going to be harder to find a position where I can use abusive well than one where I can play Kodo well. I think it'll be easier to be able to play Kodo. So I'm just trying to decide if I want to attack here. I don't think I really need to. This game's going to go on for a lot longer, so I'm going to be able to use up my durability on this. Even if I find another weapon, I'm going to be able to use all 6 of my durabilities. I expect this game to go on far longer than 6 turns. But this also sets up a nice little board position if he wants to use a Flame Strike. He'll be up on cards, not even that much. I still have this weapon, and then I'll have 4 cards to his 4, so I'll be okay, even if he does Flame Strike here. But it's also not devastating, which is nice. Ironbeak Owl. It's an okay play here. I mean, he basically just 1-for-1 since I have this weapon out, so I can just eat the owl, and he can just ping my guy down. So that's pretty good on both fronts. Oh, man. I guess I'll play Kodo here. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to do anything else this turn. I know I can kill one of these first. Doesn't really bother me. So now a Flame Strike would be pretty... Talk, Daisho, talk. Now a Flame Strike would be pretty bad, because he can just Flame Strike, ping my Kodo. All I have are these cards, and... I mean, I have a lot of cards left in my deck, obviously, but I have only reactive cards in hand, so I don't really want to be stuck with that. Oh, did he just ping this? That's perfect. I was going to trade this anyway. Unless he's got like an Arcane Explosion or Arcane Missiles here. But that wouldn't make any sense to play Arcane Missiles after you ping. You want to see what you can finish off and then do it. But it looks like he's got a couple more spells in hand. He could play an Arcane Explosion here. But then why would he ping here? So that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I don't really know what he could have. Okay. Nothing. That's fine. So I think I'm actually going to save the Fire Elemental here for after a Flame Strike. And I'm just going to go slow and steady here. I'm taking some hits. Going down to 19 is less than ideal against a mage, but that's okay. Maybe I could have played the Fire Elemental out. Flame Strike, still get to keep my Kodo, but only for 1 turn. Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with saving it in hand. I have a lot of reactive spells, but I mean, my hero ability right now is better than his, so if this game just keeps going the way it is, I mean, well, card all the way to his left here. Could be a Vaporize. Ooh, that is very, very saucy. Looks like a Vaporize here. And he did that pretty well, so that's fine. But now I think I need to put something on the board. If Fire Elemental is really threatening now that I have the Wind Fury. It's probably just going to eat a Polymorph or a Fireball anyway, so that's fine. But then again, I just turned this into a Nightblade instead of it being the awesome card that it generally is. You know what I would like to see? Gadgets in. That would be a nice draw here. Got the full set of totems though. So this is a card that he just drew, which is very relevant in determining. So like that's how I was able to tell it was a Vaporize, since it was a card all the way to his left. And I've always had chumps, small creatures that I could just send right in, or like I would have had to attack his creatures. So him, Faceless Manipulator. Alright, that's fine. I mean, that's what I have these hexes for. And that means, well no, he could still have a Fireball or a Polymorph. It would probably be one of the two cards on his left because he hasn't really had a good reason to use one. He could have Fireballed the 3/5, the Kodo, but I mean he had the Vaporize for it, so that was nice. There's very little point for me to not attack into the Vaporize because I could make a totem, but he can easily just ping it down, so it's pretty unreasonable for me to think that I can send in a creature anytime soon that would be worse than Kodo. So it was definitely a fair play. I guess I'm really looking to draw Flame Tongue Totem here. That'd be nice. All right, there's the Polymorph. Not surprised at all. Get to keep my 1/1s for another turn, which is nice. If I draw Flame Tongue Totem, I don't even think that I'm going to. Oh, there's Gadgets in. Frogify. There's a Dark Iron Dwarf. That's a nice draw. And I can't totem here, which is a little unfortunate. I could Wind Fury this guy, but he's likely to die next turn. So would I rather keep Wind Fury or have a I think I'd rather just have a random card in my deck, to be honest. There we go. That's a Flame Tongue Totem. So still really hoping he doesn't have Flame Strike, but I feel like he's had pretty reasonable chances and opportunities to cast Flame Strike. So there's an Arcane Intellect. So if he didn't have Flame Strike before, he just went 3 cards deeper into his deck. So that's a really, and there's a card that he's had for a while. That's a Frostbolt. Still not a big deal. Not like a huge surprise here that he's going to be able to take my guy out. I would be shocked if he didn't have any way to take my guy out. And there's another Arcane Intellect. So he's definitely getting some card advantage here, but he's still got to deal with my board. I mean, he's pretty likely to draw into a Flame Strike at some point, since he hasn't played any yet. But we're just going to drop this totem and start getting in there. I mean, 4 haste power is nice. And I definitely don't want to play out the Dark Iron Dwarf just yet, because my board is really weak to Flame Strike, and he's gone like 4 or 5 cards deep into his deck, more than he has last turn. He's only got 8 cards left. So maybe he doesn't have any Flame Strikes, and he's just a really good player to get this far, 7-1 without any Flame Strikes. But I honestly would be surprised if that were the case. And no Flame Strike. He could have a Frost Nova still. Could have a Sun Fury Protector still. Looks like he's just gonna ping. Alright, that should be the game, right? Yeah. It's not done on board, but I have this Dark Iron Dwarf for 2 more damage, or the Lightning Bolt. You know what? I want to make sure that all of the totems get a chance to attack here this game. That was a pretty unconventional game there. He definitely should have pinged, by the way, he should have pinged the sheep so that I couldn't just totem and remake the 1/1. The sheep is just like an extra value that I get, but didn't really matter since I had the game anyway. Alright, 3 more wins. So we started at 2-1, and then 5-1, and now 8-1. And I think that this deck is good. I mean, it's really hard to beat 3 hexes. How often does your deck have 3 giant things that your opponent can't trade for? Like, sure, Fire Elemental is actually pretty easy to trade with generally, since it only's got 5 health, but I mean, I have a Sea Giant and 2 Fire Elementals. Outside, if my opponent were just to save his hexes or her hexes for those 3 cards, I would be in really bad shape. But I think that the key to playing this deck to success is totem as often as possible and save and hex as little as possible. And then following those 2 strategies, I think I've been able to do pretty well. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll be back tomorrow with another one. Have a wonderful day. Bye.